Welcome to all, and thank you for coming to the Northfield Mayor Candidate Forum. My name is Melanie Fries, and I am the Voter Education Chair of the Voter Services Committee of the League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls. We will start the candidate forum in a couple of minutes, but before we do, I would like to review some of the forum policies and rules. This candidate forum is free and open to the public. Because of the ongoing pandemic, the 2020 forums are being held online using a Zoom webinar that can host over 1,000 participants. While the audience can watch the forum in real time, audience members' audio and video will be muted throughout the entire forum. Chat functions will not be available. It is the League's policy to tape the entire candidate forum without editing so that citizens will see the event in its entirety and not just selected scenes or sound bites. This forum is being recorded and will be available online at lwvnorthfieldmn.org tomorrow. We will be asking questions that were submitted in advance, but audience members are also encouraged to submit questions throughout the forum via email. The address is contactus@lwvnorthfieldmn.org. You may address the question to one candidate, but all other candidates will be given an opportunity to respond as well. Questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature will not be asked. Those that fall into the same general topic area may be consolidated to allow us to cover as many topics as possible in the allotted time. All questions submitted are the property of the League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls. All candidates have accepted the invitation to participate, but the League's policy is to allow candidate forums to proceed if at least one candidate is present. I would now like to turn the time over to Adrienne Falcone, co-president of the League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls, for some opening remarks.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us. I am Adrienne Falcone, co-president of the League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls. I would like to welcome you to the Northfield Mayor Candidate Forum. The 2020 Candidate Forums are hosted by the League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls and co-sponsored by the Academic Civic Engagement Office of St. Olaf College, the Center for Community and Civic Engagement at Carleton College, and the Northfield Area Chamber of Commerce. We thank the candidates for attending today and our internet audience for viewing. This forum is a public service providing you with an opportunity to hear the candidates discuss important issues face to face. The views expressed here today are those of the candidates and not the sponsoring organizations. The League of Women Voters Minnesota, a nonpartisan 501c3 political organization, encourages informed and active participation of citizens in government and influences public policy through education and advocacy. We do not endorse candidates for office or political parties. Unfortunately, there is never enough time to cover all of the issues raised. We are also supporting the platform Vote 411, where we are asking candidates to put information about themselves. If you would like more information, you can look at the Vote 411 platform. Furthermore, if you feel that your question was not addressed during the candidate forum today, please contact the candidate directly after the forum. And now I would like to introduce our moderator, Martha Mix, a certified moderator from the League of Women Voters. And you're on mute, Marty.
There we go. All right, I apologize. We're going to start the candidate forum for the Mayor of Northfield with their opening statements, which will be 2 minutes, and they have 1 minute for a closing statement. Questions will be given 1.5 minutes. However, I will be doing some lightning rounds with just 30-second responses, and these will be for rather short questions, yes, no, and why. The first speaker will be in alphabetical order, and then we'll alternate thereafter. So we'll begin with David Ludesher with his opening statement, and then Rhonda Pownell will be second. David, please unmute. Because we'll be going back and forth between the two of you so quickly, maybe both of you should unmute.
Okay. Thank you, League, for hosting this. I understand it's also co-sponsored by a number of other organizations, and maybe you'll mention those later, but one of them, of course, is the Northfield Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. So welcome, everybody, and good morning, Madam Mayor. Good to see you. Well, I had a prepared about 2-minute speech or opening here, and before I got up this morning, my wife read it on the kitchen table and said, David, you have to be more positive. So I don't have a prepared speech anymore. So I'll just tell you some of my thoughts. First of all, I'd ask that whoever's listening, don't prejudge until this is all done. That's one thing we tell jurors to do, is wait until you hear all the evidence and then make up your minds. If you have a preconceived notion about something, it could be about me, it could be about the mayor herself. I'd ask you not to prejudge and just think about the issues that are being brought up rather than the personalities. I do have a email address that you can write to me with questions. Sorry, Mayor, I appropriated it, northfieldmayor@gmail.com. You didn't have it yet, so I took it. So if you have any questions, northfieldmayor@gmail.com. What I hope to focus on, if I were to become mayor, or even if I'm not to become mayor, is to make Northfield a better place for everybody. And I have 3 main issues that I'd like to be addressed. The first one is taxes and the rising taxes. The second one is how we're treating our neighbors, and if we can get along with them better. And the last one is the charter.
Thank you. Rhonda Parnell.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for hosting this forum so that people can learn more about both Mr. Luderscher and myself. I'm an Ole social work grad. I graduated back in 1993. I've been here for 31 years. I married a townie, and I'm a proud parent of 5 wonderful children, the first of which just got married recently, so I'm so excited about that. I've served in elected office for about 12 years now. I've ran for office in Northfield 6 different times. I've been on multiple local and state boards, and I love our small town. Over the years, we've seen a lot of turnover in both elected and top appointed officials. Many times the constant critiquing, divisiveness, ungratefulness, and general negativity in the community has worn out public servants. But I'm not giving up. During my term as mayor, our leadership has really put forward strategies that I really intend to see through in my next term. In Jim Collins' book, How the Mighty Fall, he writes, the signature of mediocrity is chronic inconsistency. I really plan to continue the consistency of implementing our plans our leadership has built in my next term. And I'm excited to do that for our community because I value our community, I value the people that live here, and I want to ensure that our community is left in better condition for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to apologize to both of you and to our timekeepers. We have our timekeeper up there that I did not thank from St. Olaf. And of course, they're showing the 30-second and 15-second signs to be sure candidates keep on schedule here. And I want to also thank all of those who've already submitted questions to contact us at northfieldmn.org. You may continue sending in your questions during the forum. And we will then begin our first question. And this first question is, let me just, what is one of the most pressing issues facing Northfield? And if elected, what will you do to address this issue? And always feel free to ask me to repeat the question if you wish. We'll begin with Rhonda Parnell.
All right, thank you. Wasn't sure about that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you asking this question because we are in a very different environment than what we've ever been in before with the COVID pandemic. And we are still working through those issues and will need to continue to work through those into the next term of being mayor and with a future city council. So I will continue to advocate that we strategically and creatively work together to support our businesses, families, and individuals during this time that are under really great financial and mental health stresses. I think we have many families that are working full-time while also managing their children's education all within the home. As a city, we are supporting our businesses and nonprofits to stabilize and stimulate our local economy, providing social support and stabilizing households with emergency housing assistance, food distribution, and internet access through the work of the CAC and HCI has been really important. We need to continue to do that. It's likely that the needs that we've seen as a community will continue into 2021. It will be really important to maintain our focus, our creativity, and our collaboration as a community to address COVID pandemic. Thank you.
David Ludisher, same question.
Is this 1 minute or 2 minutes?
This is 1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes, okay. Well, there's a number of ways to look at the question. What's the most pressing issue for Northfield? And I'll break it down. One of the ways we can look at it is what's the most pressing issue for the city government itself. And I think those issues are different than what are the most pressing issues for the people. And then with the people, it's what are the most pressing issues that they have in their lives, or what are the most pressing issues in their relationship to the government itself. So I'm going to just talk about the issue that I think is most pressing in people's minds is the taxes. And these are tough times. And in the last 4 years, taxes now have gone up about 30%, I think I calculated, over the last 4 years. And a lot of people are concerned that the taxes keep going up. I've heard a number of people say they're going to leave town because taxes are too high. And they're concerned about what the money is being spent on. I've heard a lot of complaints about the roundabout, the bump outs, and the streets, that we're spending money on things that can wait, and we should be spending money on other things like the sewer plant.
Thank you. Next question, and we'll begin with David. What's your definition of economic development? And what is one thing you would do to improve economic development in Northfield?
I don't know if you know, but I'm a lawyer, so I'm picking apart questions. But I don't think my definition of economic development is important. I do think it's important that we settle upon a definition of economic development, at least for Northfield. I don't think we have a good definition, and I think we're using it oftentimes more as an excuse to do what is not economic development than actually doing something for economic development. So the first thing I would do is see if we can develop a definition that fits everybody. For example, I've heard that a bike trail is economic development. And I think we all know that it's not economic development, it's tourism. And it generally costs a lot more for services than it does if you actually invest the money in the businesses. I don't think economic development is drafting TIF areas that benefit the wealthy like we've done with the hotel and with the apartments. I think we need to spread it out so that the people that have been here the longest can be developed rather than trying to get in new people and giving them incentives that those of us, I've been in town 31 years and I've been paying taxes. I've never been part of a TIF district. How come I don't get free money? So we probably have to go back to the drawing board.
Thank you. Same question, Rhonda Pano.
Thank you very much. I value our local businesses and really place a high priority on maintaining and growing those businesses that are already here within our community. It's called the economic gardening approach. Over the last 2 years, we've seen 11 out of the 13 business expansions have been locally owned and operated. We're working hard to grow our tax base where we have already paid for the infrastructure. That sets our community up for long-term financial success. Growth for the sake of growth is not always a wise investment. For example, the village on the Cannon yields a greater tax value per acre than our Target store and parking lot. Mixed-use buildings, commercial on the first floor and condos on the second floor, yield the greatest tax value and therefore the greatest long-term benefit. So moving forward economic development in a really strategic manner is really important. We are currently working very closely with our economic partners like the Chamber, NEC, and the NDDC to support our businesses during the COVID environment. After we get through this time, it's going to be really important that we continue to work on our economic development strategic plan, which includes expansion, redevelopment, retention, and workforce, just to name a few. Affordable housing, workforce housing will be key for our business community in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question, if elected, how would you work to ensure all members of the community are treated equally by the police in Northfield? Specifically, would you work to make Northfield police data, procedures, and policies more transparent and available to the public? We'll begin with Rhonda.
Thank you very much. That's a really important question that I know has, due to the current environment with the killing of George Floyd, is really prominently on people's minds in our community and throughout the nation. We have just put forward a committee task force that will be looking at the police department's use of force policies. Through that process, there's about 12 members, diversely represented by people throughout the community, that will be looking at those policies that will bring forward a recommendation to the City Council. Those policies that will then be posted online for everyone to see. As part of this process and the engagement with the City Council through this process, there will be opportunities to give that level of feedback, and it really should be happening with the full City Council, with the community, with the people that are, our police department is truly here to serve and work on behalf of.
Thank you. David Ludisher.
Yeah, I think that the question really is an answer in search of a problem for Northfield. We shouldn't assume that the same problems that are being experienced in other areas, particularly Minneapolis, has been in the spotlight, are the same problems that we have here. For the most part, I have not heard in my 31 years that there's an issue with force or violence in our police force. The issues that I have heard come up is perhaps profiling used to be big, and I don't know how big it is anymore, but people, especially Hispanic people, are stopped more often than other people. And that starts a progress that goes through the system. I do see an issue with the police force not being in touch with the people and being seen as adversarial on a lot of things. For example, I had someone who wanted to have a dog permit, and the police recommended that she not get one. And we went to court, and the judge found it unconstitutional that she couldn't have a dog permit. But it was kind of sad to me that the police took an adversarial position to a citizen in that matter.
Thank you. The next question, during these COVID concerns, there may be an impact on your local city budget. If budget cuts are required, what would be the areas for cuts and what areas are off limits? And the first person to answer this will be David.
Thank you. Well, if you were to judge the City Council's reaction to the pandemic by the recent passing of the 5.7% increase, you wouldn't think that there is a problem. I was disappointed that the City Council voted themselves a raise. I think Dave DeLong was right. You're not hearing the citizens if you're giving yourself a raise when they're going through some major difficulties. We really should have cut the budget for this year in principle. I understand that St. Paul did that. All the top administrative positions took a 10% cut. And that's a lot less than a lot of people endured. A lot of the businesses had to close. I've heard that businesses were down 70%, 30%, I mean, all over the board. And to have the city kind of close their eyes to that and raise the budget tells me that we're not really in tune with the voters and the people out there. At least for this year, we should have done everything we could to cut it back. And one of the things we could have done is use the CARES money to fund the operations rather than raising taxes. So I'm very disappointed in the council's action on that.
Thank you. Rhonda? Oh, no.
Thank you very much. So I think there's a lot of times, a lot of emphasis put on what the city council is doing with regards to the tax levy. However, it's really important to know and understand that only 34% of our city local property tax bill is attributed to local government. The rest is determined by Rice County and our school district. So it's really important. There's been an overemphasis on what the city is doing. I've been through LGA cuts, a recession before. You can employ different strategies. You can do an across the board cut, 10%. You can look at non-essential services to see whether or not those can be cut back. But one of the things that we should not be doing is that we should not be cutting places where we are reinvesting in existing infrastructure. If you start cutting into taking care of your existing buildings, roads, bridges, and things like that, that can set the city back and shift that financial burden on general maintenance onto future generations. And I really don't think that we should be doing that. Yes, we need to be funding essential services and doing that general maintenance of taking care of our city.
Thank you. The next question is, will you consider ending the current rental ordinance as a way of increasing affordable housing? And we'll begin with Rhonda Panel.
Thank you. That's a great question. And I know that many people think that that is a primary avenue to increasing affordable housing. The rental ordinance actually only is governing certain portions of our city, not the whole city. It's primarily focused on the areas that are around both the colleges, and those areas are very dense now as it is. So I think we need to look at affordable housing in a much, much broader term or way, ensuring that we have people throughout the community and ensuring that we're utilizing that the rental capabilities and the ADU ordinance that's already in place throughout the community is really important. If you put all of your community or all of your people in a very, very small area of the community, it's going to become congested. We have a beautiful city. We should really be looking at affordable housing in all areas of the community. I really believe in that. People should not be put solely within one area of the community. We have lots of area that we can be expanding affordable housing in.
Thank you. David Ludisher, same question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. Will you consider ending the current rental ordinance as a way of increasing affordable housing?
Yes.
All right.
And let me tell you why. It really has worked, the rental ordinance has worked to the detriment of those who don't have a lot already. One of the things that you can do to cut down on housing prices is to be more dense and be in with a bunch of other people. And from my discussions with the landlords, they love the rental ordinance because what it does is it drives up rental prices on the properties because there's less rental properties available And what you can also do is you can secure a block if you want. So if you have 2 houses on a block, generally, you have all the rentals on that block. No one else can rent out their house and compete with you. So it seems to me it's had an adverse impact on the people who need it the most. And it was designed really, I think, because we wanted to control the parties that college students were having. But really, what we should have done, I think, is go to the college presidents and say, you either control this problem or you're going to get a phone call at 2 in the morning and we're going to call every administrator. This shouldn't be our problem. Take care of your kids.
All right. Next question. This will be an environmental question. If you are elected, what actions, if any, would you take to support the Northfield Climate Action Plan's goal of being carbon neutral by 2040? And David, questions for you first.
That's really too complicated a question to answer in the time that's here. Of all, I don't think most of the listeners probably know what their action plan is, but to set a goal to be carbon free is nice to have as an aspirational goal, but there's all kinds of problems connected with it. First of all, does it apply to all the citizens or just to the government? So one of the things that the city did recently was they bought solar gardens, and that really doesn't reduce the impact of greenhouse gases. All it does is create more solar. All it does is create more energy. And what has to happen is you have to use less energy. Is it realistic to be carbon free by 2040? I don't know. You know, I'm not a scientist. But if you pursue goals that are unrealistic and you fall short, there's a problem with, you feel as if you failed. One of the things that we have to do simply and we start with the government, is they lead by trying to reduce energy as much as they can. And the citizens are pretty much on their own to do it. You can't really force citizens to be carbon free unless you be really strict and be almost fascist. So it's a good goal, but I don't think it's a realistic one.
Rhonda Pownell, same question.
Thank you. I think our climate action plan was primarily put in place because it is one of our 6 key strategic priorities of the city's long-range strategic plan. We have implemented, we've completed that climate action plan, and now the process of walking it out and putting those initiatives in place will be really important for us as a community. I don't think we should ever create a plan and then just set it on the shelf. So we have collaborated with Rotary, Growing Up Healthy, Clean Energy Resource Teams, EQC, and others to really make 2 EV charging units possible. We are supplying mobile home energy efficiency kits to both Northfield and Faribault, helping our mobile homes to be more energy efficient. That saves people money. We are looking at creating a carbon reduction fund. We are encouraging home energy squad visits that also helps people save money. We need to activate a tree planting program, and we are also looking at bike and pedestrian trails and paths and much more. So probably the ones that I am most excited about are the ones that will yield us cost savings while at the same time taking good care of our environment. So that includes solar, that includes our urban forestry program, getting that up and running, planting more trees, and connecting our bike trails that lead to nowhere. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question will begin with Rhonda. Do you feel the city's financial information and budget forecasts have been adequate in terms of quality, transparency, and accessibility? What changes, if any, would you recommend to make it easier for the general public to access and understand the budgets?
So this is a really important one, and one that I've been advocating for over the course of my time as mayor and even before that, in ensuring that we have good quality information out there that is easily accessible on our city's website that can be understood by people other than finance people. We need to be communicating in a much more broader way. We need to be communicating through different media sources, whether it's Facebook, the website. We now have a Northfield Public Broadcasting for people to be able to access information. We need to be accessible. This is the people's government, and they need to know and understand what our budget is. And yes, does it need to be improved? Absolutely. We can always do better. And that is my hope, is that there would be a constant state of looking for ways that we can improve the way that people access the government that is here to serve them. So thank you.
Same question, David Ludisher.
Yeah, once again, a pretty big question for a small amount of time. One thing that we don't have in the city, and we really need to have, is I don't want to call it a finance committee, but an independent citizens group that can review and take the time to analyze the budget, to look at things, to make recommendations. That happened under Mayor Rossing's term, but it only happened because we had a recession at that time, and the city was looking to be more financially prudent, I guess, to see how to get through the times. And there were a lot of recommendations that came out of there, but that committee is not permanent. I know the last time I was on the city council, I was just simply surprised at how poor the financial information was, even to us on the council. There was money all over the place. We had, at one time, there was a request that came up when we wanted money, and our finance director said it could come out of 9 different funds. And I'm like, oh my God, how can that come out of 9 different funds? We've done some things that we shouldn't do, like we borrowed $50,000 from the water fund to pay Mr. Hood so he could fight Bridgewater Township. That's not the right way to do it. And so, yeah, it's a big question.
All right, thank you. Now that you mentioned Bridgewater, do you support, we can just make this a 30-second question, just a lightning round question. Do you support Bridgewater Township becoming a city? Why or why not? And it will be David Ludisher.
Yes, I do support them becoming a city. They are our neighbors, and I think they have the same right to self-determination that we do. I think the time for manifest destiny is long past us. I think the time where one people can take land from another is long past us. And we have so much that we can do together with Bridgewater, weeds, water, all kinds of things we should be working together on. It just doesn't help to start a fight with them.
Thank you. Rhonda Pownell.
Thank you very much. I think that I can't answer that question conclusively right now at this moment, because Bridgewater hasn't even answered that statement on whether or not they want to move forward with becoming a city of their own to govern. They are a township, and we are working through the process to help address some of the concerns that they brought up for why they were looking at incorporation in the first place. They are our friends, they're our neighbors, and we all benefit when we all work better together. So I'm looking forward to working on that with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What programs or services would you like to see implemented or changed for the youth of Northfield? And we will begin with Rhonda.
Could you restate that? That is a really big question.
What programs or services would you like to see implemented or changed for the youth of Northfield?
Oh, for the youth.
Mm-hmm, for the youth.
Yes, for the youth. I think we're doing a great job of connecting with our youth. We have, gosh, it must be 80 to 90 youth that are right now serving on our boards and commissions and on different boards and commissions throughout the city. I think we are engaging with our youth in a really strategic way. We're available to them and seeking their inputs. And I really appreciate the level of input that you're having even today with having St. Olaf students be our timekeepers. I am not aware of a request from our youth of different services that they would like to see in our community. We certainly do appreciate the Northfield Union of Youth, but if there are other areas that I think our youth want to have a say in their local government, we do have the Youth on Boards program that we are funding at a really strategic level, much more broadly than we ever have before. So I'd be looking for input from the people that we are actually serving for where they want to have their voice be made in local government in Northfield.
Thank you. Same question, David Ludisher.
Yeah, I don't know, this is going to sound old-fashioned, but I think what we could offer the youth that they're not getting is the opportunity to serve. So, hey, you want to come and, clean up parks? We could have a youth corps doing that. They don't need to get paid. Part of being a part of government is contributing. And as my grandpa would say, we all have to pull our own weight. And so it's good for, it's good for kids, and my own kids, they all had chores to do. They were expected to do chores. And, I think it was good for them, because then you can feel like part of the community. If you're looking for the community to give you something, I think that's probably the wrong thing to teach our youth, that government is something that gives them something. So I haven't really given it a lot of thought. The youth are important. On the other hand, how do you best serve them? And I think the best way for them to be involved in government is actually to work and to volunteer.
Thank you. And here's a question we received during the forum. And we will begin with David Ludisher. The question is, the Mexican-American community is a large and vibrant community within Northfield, but sometimes it may feel that is in some way separate. How would you work to reach out to and communicate with that community?
It'd be interesting to know if this is a question for the Mexican community or not. This issue came up at St. Dominic's more than 20 years ago, because St. Dominic's is probably the predominant church that the Hispanics go to in town. A lot of them that come here are Catholic to start with. And we tried lots of integration programs, and our conclusion was that the Mexican population doesn't want to be integrated. They want to be their own community. And so now they have a separate misa mass, and we have a priest who actually speaks Spanish, that they can feel more at home being here. One of the tendencies that we had, I think, as Caucasians, was to say, we need to be one community. And they didn't come here for that purpose. A lot of them are here just to work and make money and send it back home. They want to lay low as low as possible. They don't want Northfield to be a sanctuary community and draw attention to themselves. They just want to be left alone. Now, that's not all of them, but that would be my thought. We create a division that we don't need to if we classify them as an other. So I would say let them do what they want, them being their community, and let them be involved as much as they want in the government, but they shouldn't have to be if they don't want to be.
Thank you. Same question, Rhonda Parnell.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. The Mexican-American community is a large and vibrant community within Northfield, but sometimes it may feel that it is in some way separate. How would you work to reach out to and communicate with that community?
Thank you very much. Well, for starters, I think that we are working hard to do that currently. We have, with our city-owned library, it has become much more of a cultural center. So during my term on the council, we have created a Hispanic Heritage Month and expanded that with lots of different activities. Our library sends out our bookmobile. to different areas of the community. That is an outreach. We also have the book bike that I have personally rode along with. I haven't towed the actual, all the books, but I have rode along with to be able to communicate and be right there with the people that we're serving in our community. I love doing that, actually. We've created a municipal ID program. We are working to connect with the people that want to be connected. We have an emerging leaders program so that it gives that opportunity for people who do want to serve in local government or in other places within the community, an opportunity to learn how to serve best on committees and to showcase how committees actually work well. That is a program that I think we should continue to do. There are a lot of great things that the city is doing. We need to continue with that. We have a racial equity action plan. We need to continue to implement that.
Thank you. Our next question is, our city is a charter city. What role would the charter play in your decisions and actions if elected?
That's me, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, it's on to Pannell.
Yes. All right. We have a great group of people that are serving on our charter commission. It's one of about 12 boards and commissions. They are working hard to look at the charter to see whether or not there really are any areas where the charter should be improved. It is our city's guiding document. And for that reason, when our charter commission asked us to consider including in our oath of office, adhering to our city charter, I voted yes. That was an easy decision for me. I value our charter. It's something that we do need to be adhering to, and we ask that all the time when we are going through different questions or analyzing policy. Does it relate back to and honor what our city charter says?
Thank you. David Ludisher.
Yeah, this has been an area where I've been pushing really hard in. I was on the Charter Commission for 6 years. I was the chair of the Charter Commission. And I do appreciate that Mayor Paulnell is, at least indicating that she is supporting it. I seem to recall, though, that her statement was it would be harmless to take the oath of office, and I'd like to see that be stronger. It's hard for government to self-govern itself, and one of the things that we have is a charter commission to help us in line with things. I would support the charter had I been the mayor at the time the city rejected the charter commission's advice on the giveaway for the hotel. I would have joined the charter commission in suing the city. I think it's that important, that document. That document actually birthed the city council, and for the city council to not even agree to swear to it, I think is akin to Trump saying that he wouldn't honor the Constitution. It has to be honored, and it has to be honored in spirit, and it has to be honored faithfully. I would not take Attorney Hood's advice.
All right. The next question is, how would you work with local businesses and committed citizens to make Northfield a destination for business? And we'll begin with David.
How long do I have?
This is 1.5 minutes.
Oh, I was hoping it was an hour and a half. There's so many things that we want to do as a city, I think, and I think we've become very self-centered. So the focus on a lot of things now is to make Northfield better for Northfield people. So we have a lot of bike trails, we have roundabouts, we have other things. Business has kind of been the neglected child, almost a stepchild. First of all, businesses don't get to vote, so that makes a huge difference. Businesses pay well, at my office, we pay about 2.5 times what residential people pay. There's a number of things that are stopping businesses from coming here. I mean, Target almost pulled out back when they were here. And they said that Northfield was perhaps the most difficult town they've ever dealt with. The only other towns that were more difficult were ones on the East Coast. There's a lot of regulations, they said. There was a lot of hoopla they had to jump through. There was a lot of things that they needed to do in order to be here. And those that remember, we had a referendum on it. The City Council actually did not allow it. It actually was the citizens that voted on it. So I don't have a good answer, but I think we need to stop focusing.
All right, thank you. Rhonda, same question.
Could you repeat the question, please?
How would you work with local businesses and committed citizens to make Northfield a destination for business?
Well, for starters, I would say that I think it's really important that we be customer friendly. That means that we respond to requests in a timely manner. During my time on the council, we have seen a lot of development within the community, and I'm really proud of that fact. We have a Northfield Hospital Birth Center and clinic expansions currently. We've got Hometown Credit Union, which is a new banking option. We have Premier Bank, which will be moving to a new location on the corner of Highway 3 and 2nd. We have Heritage Bank, Aurora Pharmaceuticals expansion. We have the Professional Dental Group that moved locations and created an opportunity for Secure-Based Counseling Center to expand. Reunion expanded. All Flex is undergoing a current expansion. We have self-storage, a new Northfield expansion, Cannon Valley Vet Clinic, new 2-story building, replacing the old Garley building downtown. We have family residence, a new home-like atmosphere for people with Alzheimer's, and we have Wings Financial, a new location. We are moving economic development forward in our community, even while we are supporting our existing businesses with loan deferrals during this COVID environment. We have created an e-commerce grant to help businesses take their business online that previously weren't online. We are doing our best to support our existing businesses, and the EDA strategic plan needs to continue to address all of those areas. And so I'm thankful that we're moving it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. It's looking at the process. What process do you think Northfield should use to rank items for capital improvement projects, such as a new ice arena, liquor store, and parks and trails? So what process of gathering the input from the public?
I think gathering the public input is really important. And I think we have sought to do that in a much broader way. We did that with the development of our strategic plan. We asked all of our 200 plus boards and commissions to give us guidance on our strategic plan. When we were considering whether or not we should expand the ice arena, again, we sought the community's input on that. I think we need to continue to do that. I think we need to take into account how many people the existing facility or what is being brought in serves. What's the impact on the tax levy? Do the people of this community want to see that happen? And then I think you need to allow the city council to give guidance on that. And sometimes that means going to a local referendum and allowing the people to vote directly on it. And sometimes that may mean that the city council moves it forward. And we did that with our fire station. We just completed renovating our existing fire station, and that was a collaboration between all of the different local governments within our Northfield area, which included our townships, which also included the city of Dundas and the city of Northfield. How we move forward is really important, and I am not a fan of deferred maintenance. I think we need to take care of the existing buildings that are in our city and not put that off onto future generations. We need to take care of the issues that are here and now. Thank you.
David Ludisher, same question.
Yeah, thank you. There is a process that all cities have to use in order to set priorities, and it's called the Capital Improvement Plan, Capital Equipment Plan, and the city has one. I haven't been involved with it in the last 4 years, obviously, because I'm not on the board or on the council, but it was not used the way it was supposed to when I was on the council. At one time, the capital improvement plan had $120 million listed as capital improvement projects for the 5-year plan, which would be $24 million a year. And that was our plan. And that's not really a plan. We don't have $24 million a year. What has happened, and I think happened with the hockey arena also, ice arena, civic center, whatever you want to call it, is that it jumped the line, and it jumped the line in a big way. And I'm not sure how that happened, but it became a big issue and came to the voters. But you know, in the 2 years since it's failed, we've done very little to fix up the old plan. And I think there is an underground movement to bring it back before the voters again soon. And I think
You can finish your sentence.
I think the city council asking Todd Lippert to carry a bill for the sales tax in 2020 shows that the city council wants to do it all over again in spite of the people's vote that said, no, we don't want it.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next question. This will just be a 30-second lightning round question. Would you support or oppose an additional roundabout at Jefferson Road and Jefferson Parkway? Yes or no, and why?
I didn't support the first one. I thought it was incredibly expensive. And yes, we used a lot of other people's money to do it, but that doesn't make me feel any better that we're using other people's money. If it's really needed, we should use our own money. So no, I didn't support the first one.
And question, Rhonda Pano?
It's not, that's not been presented to the city council. I have not seen any analysis on that particular intersection where there is a need for a roundabout. I would say roundabouts are safer than an all-way stop sign or stop light. They're safer where there is a high pedestrian or high traffic count, keeps the traffic moving. That being said, I think we need to carefully analyze the reasons for why it's being brought forward.
All right. Just a second, I just got another. Yeah, I think we have time for another question if someone wants to send one in from the audience out there. Let's see, one question here. What process and considerations would guide your decisions in matters of securing loans and other city-level financial transactions designed to stimulate economic development? And this would be a minute and a half. And we'll begin with Rhonda Pano.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I think it's really important that we analyze those very strategically. What is the benefit? Who will it benefit? Will it leverage existing dollars that we already have? So if you have a plan in place, an adopted plan by the city council, you can more easily access grant dollars or other ways of leveraging the local dollars. A lot of communities do that. We have utilized tax increment financing, a financing tool that is often used by communities, right, to help move forward economic development in a way that if it weren't there, it would not be able to happen. I think it's really important that we be strategic, that we think it through, that we get good, solid guidance and background information from our financial advisors on anything that we would be moving forward on. And without something more specific of, that's a really broad term in terms of loans and things like that. There's a lot out there, and many communities collaborate with other levels of government to make economic development happen. And I think we should consider all of those for our community.
Thank you. David Ludisher, same question.
Yeah, thank you. One thing that I would kind of point out that I think Rhonda and I have a different, if I can call you Rhonda, a different view of what government's role is and what it could or should accomplish. So when we talk about we, I'm not sure if we're talking about we as a council when the mayor speaks. We're talking about we as the people or we as the city. Economic development, though, is a difficult area simply because there's so many different views on it. I can tell you, though, some of the things that I've seen that I don't like, and one of them for supposed economic development is, and most people probably don't realize this, is that the city of Northfield borrowed $987,000 from Rebound at 4.5% interest. So we owe almost $1 million to the hotel. Now that's not economic development, that's just going in the hole. Granted, that's to be paid back with taxes, but we need to have positive loans for people and people who have been here for a while if we're going to do it. But I think the chamber has to be involved. The chamber represents almost all the big businesses in town. The chamber is in the business.
Thank you. Okay, so our very last question. If we are to wave a magic wand, what are the 3 most important things you would love to see accomplished during your term as mayor if elected? And we'll begin with David Ludisher. The 3 most important things.
Whether I'm elected or not, the 3 things I'd like to see most accomplished, and I'd like to see the mayor do this if I'm not elected, is keep taxes under control. There's a lot of people who the taxes affect, and the property tax system in Northfield and all cities is regressive, not progressive like it is at the national level. So if you're a progressive in Northfield, generally you would favor progressive taxes, but it's not progressive here, it's regressive. So high taxes hurt the low income the most. The second thing I'd like to see is, I'd like to see us work with Bridgewater, Waterford, Greenville, and Northfield townships. They're part of our community. They go to our churches, they go to our schools, and I'm saying our, but it's theirs too. It's theirs too. And so I do not support what we've done. I don't support hiring Attorney Hood and putting $100,000 in the bank so we can fight with them. I don't support the fact that we broke our deal with Waterford just because we could. We've caused a lot of bad feelings there. And the last thing I'd like to see, whether I'm mayor or not, and the polls would say I'm not going to be, but would be to see that the charter is honored. So when those 7 people.
You can finish that your sentence there.
So when those 7 people give their advice and direction to the council, I don't want to see the council say why they shouldn't have to do what the charter says. I want them to see and say, yes, I understand that you're putting a lot of work into this and you know more than we do about this, so we're going to follow your advice.
Thank you. Rhonda Parnell.
Okay, what 3 things?
Yes, if you can wave a magic wand, what 3 things would you want to see accomplished during your term if elected as mayor?
I'd like to see us continue to work on implementing our strategic plan. In the most broadest term, it identifies 6 key areas that our community has said that we need to move forward on. Economic development, infrastructure, affordable housing, diversity, equity, and inclusion, our climate. All of those things are really important, and you can't just pick 3 out of a hat. You have to really look at our community holistically and help our community move forward in a very positive, transparent manner. I've worked very hard to create a positive tone so that people aren't looking at the city council and wondering whether or not we're going to fall apart any minute. The civility, the collaboration, it has to be there so our community and all of the great leaders within our community can be functioning at a really high level to get the work of the city done. And I'm excited to be moving forward in that manner. And I look forward to collaborating and working with people to get that done.
Thank you. Now we come to our closing statements, and we will begin with Rhonda Parnell.
I think, as I've said previously,
I'm sorry, it's 1 minute for closing statements.
okay. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be participating today in this forum and to be sitting alongside my colleague, David Ludischer, a community member here. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for what you're doing here. I think it's really important. Moving forward, we have to continue to address the COVID-19 pandemic. We're not out of the woods yet. So supporting our businesses, our families in the community is going to be really important. That being said, I want to build on the momentum that we've already established as a city council. I want to see where we can go as a community, and I want to do everything in my power to help get us there. I think Northfield is a really wonderful city. It's beautiful, it's chock full of amazing talent, tremendous potential that we have yet to fully tap. And I'm excited to work alongside my colleagues in a very collaborative, team-oriented environment to help move our community forward. And again, I just really want to say thank you for hosting this forum. I think it's really helpful for people to know and understand more about the applicants. Would you say applicants or people who are seeking to serve their community? So thanks.
Thank you. David Ludischer.
Thank you. I have to remember to stay positive, as my wife says. So, Rhonda, you have done a great job of bringing civility and collaboration to the city. And I don't want to fault you for that, and I wouldn't fault anybody for voting for you. I think we're both on the same page that we want what's best for Northfield, and we want to work together, and we're not shouting over each other. So, and that's the way it should be. You've heard my voice, and my voice right now, I think, is a voice of the minority, but I think it is an important voice because they're part of the community. People want lower taxes. People want us to get along with our neighbors. People want the council to swear that they're going to obey the charter. So whether you do it or I do it, you know, I think it should be done.
Thank you very much. Again, I'd like to remind you that the views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters and its co-sponsors. Sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement of any candidate or the League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls. And now for our closing, Voter Education Chair of the League's Voter Service Committee, Melanie Fries.
The League of Women Voters of Northfield and Cannon Falls, Academic Civic Engagement Office of St. Olaf College, Center for Community and Civic Engagement at Carleton College, and Northfield Area Chamber of Commerce would like to thank our internet audience for viewing and St. Olaf students for helping with timing. We would especially like to thank our candidates for being a part of the democratic process by running for office and being willing to serve our community. The League also researches issues important to our members and to the health of our communities. If you are interested in learning more about what we do and how you can make a difference, please visit lwvmn.org. Membership is open to both men and women age 16 and older. You can find more information about the candidates and voting at mnvotes.org and lwvmn.org. Links to all the candidate forums and additional voter information can be found at our local website, lwvnorthfieldmn.org. Again, thank you for coming, and remember to vote. The deadline to register online at mnvotes.org is October 13th.